Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, with some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired Tom Telesco for their GM role. This is a little bit of a surprising bit of news here because I think a lot of people around the nation expected it either to be Champ Kelly or it to either be Ed Dodds. But essentially what has happened, and this was the topic that we talked about Monday here live on the Raiders Report, was there was a lot of rumors circulating around the idea that he was nervous, he being Mark Davis, was nervous to hire a first-time GM and to hire a first-time head coach, which is ultimately the reason why I believe the Raiders decided to go with Telesco over Dodds and decided to go with him over somebody like Champ Kelly. When you really think about the ins and outs of all the hiring processes, it was Dodds got 2 interviews, Kelly got 2 interviews, and then Telesco also got 2 interviews. Mark Davis claims that he didn't want 2 people, head coach, GM, to both be rookies. Like, if I'm going to spin this in a positive light, because people who follow me on social media, I wasn't crazy about the hire, more just because how do you not bring in Champ Kelly when you bring in Antonio Pierce? / if you're not going to stick with Champ Kelly, you should have went with Ed Dodds as the better person. Is this a home run swing? Oh, yeah. If Telesco works, because some of the teams that he's been able to build with the Chargers were very, very freaking good. But man, oh man, it is a big-time risk here by Mark Davis. So I want to know from the entire nation, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. Was this the right move by hiring Tom Telesco? Off the jump, no, it would not have been the hire that I would have gone. I would have said Ed Dodds would have been choice number 1. Number 2 would have ended up being Champ Kelly. Number 3 out of those final 3 contestants would have been Tom Telesco. But again, if I'm going to spin this in a positive light, the positive light that I'm going to spin it is Telesco was able to find a quarterback like Justin Herbert. I'm telling you right now, I was not in the meeting. Nobody was in the meeting. If Telesco looked at Mark Davis dead in the eyes and said, hey, my plan is to get us in the top 3 of the NFL draft. We're going to get a Drake Mayock, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Ed Dodds said that that's not their plan. If Champ Kelly said that's not my plan, well then Telesco was the right hire. He was the Chargers GM from 2013 to 2023. He was fired this season, and you know, it's kind of funny. The last time Tom Telesco was a GM in the NFL, the Los Angeles Chargers lost 63-21 to the Las Vegas Raiders. But he did build talented rosters. However, they always underperformed. And for people that watched my GM candidate rankings, I mean, I'll be honest with you, he was the last guy that I wanted because he was awful, and I mean god-awful with contracts. The only way that I am going to say that this does have a chance is if they let Telesco have nothing to do with contracts. He cannot be the one responsible, making deals, extensions, can't do it, because the Los Angeles Chargers are in absolute cap hell right now because of a lot of the deals Telesco ended up doing. But the bottom line is this, I promise you this, when the Raiders, they hire a GM, we go live. When breaking news happens, we go live. That's what we do here. Whether you like the news, whether you don't, family, we talk about it. You're going to get videos every single day. You're going to get 4 live shows a week at this point. This is the off season. If you're looking for free agency videos, I got you covered. Draft videos, I got you covered. If you just want to sit down and have a beer once in a while, believe me, I got you covered here. So coming up here is going to be the latest on the Raiders OC search, because now finally the Raiders can start going in that direction. Like, if there is one very positive spin that I can really put on this, it's, all right, now we got AP. Now we got Tom Telesco as the GM. Let's lay out a blueprint and let's fix this offense. And let's get this team on the right track. The longer and longer you would have waited, then your competitive advantage would have gone away. So now you have your GM. Now you have your head coach. Let's put out a blueprint. Let's figure out a way how we can get a franchise quarterback. Because if you're watching Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and you think that Aiden O'Connell can get it done, good luck, man, because I know one thing. I definitely do not think that. I do got to give a shout-out, though, to today's sponsor, Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I don't know about you. I hate planning things in advance. But one thing that I do like, I'm planning on going out to Las Vegas for the big game. And I'm going to be out there, and Chugs and I, we're going to be looking at comedies. We're going to be looking at concerts. And if you want to download the Game Time app, $20 off with code RaidersChat. But guess what? I got an even more special deal going down here. If anybody does plan on going to the big game, use code Vegas100. I'm going to say it again. Use promo code Vegas100 to get $100 off a purchase of a ticket to the big game valid for the big game. This offer is also available to all of our users, not just the new one. So maybe you go out to Las Vegas for the big game. You're like, all right, I'm going to watch the Vegas Knights. Maybe you want to go to a little bit of a comedy showdown. Maybe you want to go to an event that's under $50. Like, think about this. If you go to the big game and you use code Vegas100, you save $100. Well, you can go watch something else in Vegas or get a few extra beers for the big game itself. Bottom line is last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Download the Game Time app. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. All right, y'all, so now let's transition here a little bit to the latest on the Raiders OC search, because this is where you have to go with this conversation. You locked in your GM, you locked in your head coach. As it stands right now, there have been 4 OCs that are officially going to be interviewing with the Las Vegas Raiders. The most recent, or one of the most recent, Dan Pitcher, quarterback coach here of the Cincinnati Bengals. He will interview for the Raiders OC job at some point this week. The Bengals quarterback coach since 2020. And personally, I'm not going to sit up here and say what he was able to do with Joe Burrow. To me, the more reason why I have confidence in a guy like Pitcher is because of the work that he did with Jake Browning this past season. I mean, to me, thought he did a really, really, really solid job with Browning. When the Bengals lost Burrow, everybody thought, all right, season's over. We're going to lock it up. No, we're going to move on. But Pitcher is an interesting person to keep in mind. Browning having over a 70% completion percentage, started in 7 games, and when you watch those games, he was able to move the football pretty effectively. Their offensive line isn't great. Yes, they have a lot of extremely talented receivers and a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins, but Chase missed a lot of these games here. Yeah, you got a good running back and Mixon on top of that. But to me, if you can turn a quarterback like Jake Browning, what could you do with somebody, I don't know, like a bigger time QB? Now, obviously, you got a guy like Burrow. And to me, one of the things that I really, really want the Raiders to do on the offensive side of the football is add, I'll say this, as many cooks to the kitchen as possible. I think when you look at what the Los Angeles Rams did a few years ago when they hired Sean McVay to be that first-time head coach, they loaded that offensive side of the football with people that previously were OCs, and then you had a lot of great minds. And to me, the more great minds that you keep together is definitely going to trend in the right direction. I will admit, if the Raiders also were to bring in somebody like a Trey Brown to be like an assistant GM, I do think Dan Pitcher would be somebody pretty intriguing to keep in mind, considering the fact that Trey Brown has worked with the Cincinnati Bengals. Another person, this name dropped today in terms of a Raiders OC candidate, Alex Van Pelt, former offensive coordinator and quarterback coach of the Cleveland Browns. So he's going to interview for the Raiders OC job. The reason why I'm intrigued by this one is because if you're the Raiders, you do have to take into consideration what some of your players are going to say. Obviously, Mark Davis has already done that. Davis said, all right, Crosby, you want me to keep Antonio Pierce? Bet. Well, Davante Adams has also made it pretty clear that he wants to be involved in some way, shape, or another of the quarterback decision. Josh McDaniels, he ignored him last year. Guess what, though? Davante Adams has a relationship already with Alex Van Pelt from their time with the Green Bay Packers back from 2014 to 2017. So here's the thing. The last time, though, that Van Pelt was an OC, and if you're going to bring in him, the reason why this is another intriguing name is because he's going to run the football. He's going to run the football. Antonio Pierce is going to want to run the football. I think that's one of the reasons why they brought in Luke Getsy as well, to just get a little bit of insight here. But he was the OC for the Bills in 2009. Buffalo averaged 16.1 points per game. That was 28th in the NFL many, many years ago. But what's important here is you're bringing a guy like this, he's going to try to run the rock. So as it stands right now, the Raiders have 4 OCs that they are planning to interview. There's going to be more names. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a name that gets released here very soon. I had a source tell me, watch out for Arthur Smith. That's going to be more than likely a name that the Raiders go out and interview. Out of these names on here, it's Zach Robinson for me, and it's not close. However, Robinson is not the candidate that I think is the most likely to be hired as the Raiders OC. That person is in this video, and if you want to go check it out, it is in the comments. It is in the description of this video here, my top 10 coaches for the Raiders. I'll admit, when I recorded this video, Pitcher was not named yet, and then same with Alex also was not named. So those names are not going to be in this video. Just a little keep you in the loop there. All right, here's the last thing. I'm going to wrap up this show because, again, we are live here on the Raiders Report. If you don't watch this live, pull up to the stream. It's getting a little wild. We got over 4,000 people here in the chat. Coming up, though, Jim Harbaugh Is he coming to the AFC West? Like, I know this is a crazy, crazy thing to think about, but there's a lot of smoke, and I'm thinking it might end up going down today that Harbaugh's joining the AFC West and joining Tom Telesco's old team. Before I get into that, though, is anybody going to be out in Las Vegas during the Super Bowl? Because guess what? Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live in Las Vegas at the Ahern Hotel. Here is the address. We're going to be doing tons of giveaways. There's going to be some Raiders players there. There's going to be some signed jerseys. We're going to have a lot of drinks, a lot of food flowing. From what I understand, it's the first 100 people that pull up. You're going to be able to get a seat. It's going to be unlike anything that we have ever done here before. If you want to know what the venue looks like, I mean, here's the hotel. Look where we're going to be. You're going to have the big screen for the game. There's going to be a big screen for the Raiders Report. There's going to be people pulling up, doing boots with us. There's going to be people pulling up, doing beer bongs with us. We're going to be giving out shots. There's a full bar, and I'm telling you right now, if you enjoy what Jeremy and I do for our watch parties, Raiders game day, playoff game, God, I hope it's not the Niners or the Chiefs, but if it is, we're still going to have a good time together. Tons and tons of giveaways, and I've been talking to a lot of people that I think are, let's just say this, you guys would like to meet a lot of the people I think are going to end up pulling up. So bottom line, if you don't have any Super Bowl plans, Ahern Hotel, Sunday, February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific time. If you need to give them a call and say, hey, what's the lowdown on the Raiders Report? Give them a call. Say, I want to reserve a spot. If they tell you, well, wait a minute here, just tell them, I want to reserve a spot for the Raiders Report. I hope to see you there. It's going to be on. It's going to be popping. It's going to be a hell of a time. It is kid-friendly. Somebody asked me, Mitch, is it kid-friendly? The answer to that is yes. All right, here, Jim Harbaugh. Is he coming to the AFC West? I do think that he's going to end up being the Los Angeles Chargers head coach. And now the fact that Ed Dodds is not going to be the GM here of the Raiders, there's a chance that I think Dodds could go over to the Chargers, and that could be a bit of an issue for the Silver and Black. There's a report that came out today. Chargers and Jim Harbaugh are in striking distance of getting a deal done. This is from Mike Garafolo. Harbaugh is meeting with the Chargers again today. And the fact that the Chargers have also interviewed Ed Dodds for GM, I'm telling you right now, Ed Dodds did not turn down the Raiders GM job. If you would have asked Dodds where he wanted to go, it was with Las Vegas. However, now, we know that Harbaugh and Dodds have a lot of ties together, and I think a really bad situation could be if Harbaugh and Dodds team up for the Chargers. It was also reported today by Aaron Wilson that this is the expected staff for the Chargers. It'd be Jim Harbaugh as head coach, Greg Roman at OC, which I'll be frank with you, I think Greg Roman, pairing him with Justin Herbert does not make a lot of sense, and it almost makes me want to speculate, are they going to trade Justin Herbert? You know what, Telesco, bring in Herbert. I'm okay with it. Jesse Minter for DC, and then Jay Harbaugh as the special teams coach. Again, y'all, we are live here on the Raiders Report, and anytime big-time news happens, we do our best to break it all down for you. The Las Vegas Raiders hired Tom Telesco, and the reason they did, his experience, the Chargers roster and their makeup, and Telesco's knowledge of the AFC West that is now being reported by Albert Breer. If you want to hit that subscribe button, do it. If you made it this far in the video, I want to know where my real ones are at. Do you guys want to party? I know there's a very mixed bag right now amongst the nation, but you know what? Anytime big news happens, I want to party here on the Raiders Report, so let's get it going.